G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to IL-2 Great Battles with Mags, and welcome back to the Unprofessionals servers multiplayer Flyouts. So I haven't had much IL-2 on over the last couple of weeks. I've actually been rather busy getting a few things organised on this end, but we're going to make up with it today by picking out a couple of choice engagements from the last two multiplayer Flyouts. Of course, the Unprofessionals IL-2 multiplayer server is open to everyone. It's mainly new player focused, but it is open to anyone, and all the flyouts happen on Sundays, so you're of course welcome to join. Anyways, we're starting off today in the D9. The Focke-Wulf 190 D9 ranks as one of the most powerful prop fighters available to the Luftwaffe in IL-2 Great Battles, and as such, it's easily able to turn the tide on an enemy, even if that enemy manages to get the jump on it, as you'll see here. Alright, so at this point in this particular flight, I was about 15 to 20 minutes into a patrol. I'm actually lurking around on the border between Allied and German territory, looking for bombers or attackers that are attempting to slip through and attack Allied targets on our side of the map. So I'm keeping a bit of an eye down here because I have seen a little bit of activity just below the clouds. I'm not entirely sure what's going on yet, so I'm not really prepared to dive in. And I can see tracer fire. Now, I didn't actually realise it at the time, but that tracer fire down there was actually about to save my ass. So I'm doing a long rollover at the moment, keeping an eye on what's going on down to the ground, and then tracer fire past my right wing. I actually had somebody slotting up on my ass, and I had absolutely no idea they were there, but luckily I was already sort of committed to a dive, had speed on, pulling hard G's into a tight loop, and I'm looking over my shoulder at the moment, trying to spot the target, and I do get a glimpse of it, and it does appear to be a P-47. Unsure on model or designation at this point, but he has not attempted to follow me into the vertical. And so, looping around on his 6, keeping the power on. Now, I'm still carrying a bit of speed at this point, and I am pulling hard, trying to pull lead on the 47 as it cuts back past. Unfortunately, I pulled a little bit too hard, and induced a roll. Managed to correct it quickly enough, but I missed the opportunity to get shots on. Now, there is another aircraft rolling around here. He does take a swing at the P-47 as well. I'm still not entirely sure what that was. I think it was a 109. He disappears very quickly here, as there is going to be another aircraft messing around below us, and he goes down there to have a play. So, in a little bit more of a comfortable position at this point. First shot misses. P-47 decides it's time to bug out, nose down to follow. Now, I am flying this, as always, in VR, and I am right-eye dominant in VR. Unfortunately, the replay files here are taken from the left eye, so I'm not eyeballing this. I am actually leading down the sight, and I did just manage to get a little bit of a hit on the aircraft. Not enough to stop it, but enough to destabilize it a little bit, and I have actually managed to hit it a couple of times here. And then, big hit to the right wing, and one to the wing root, and that sends it tumbling out of control. P-47 is out of there. Now, if you thought that engagement was a little bit unfair, even though the P-47 had the advantage from the outset, don't worry. I will get my own back by the end of this video, but first, this is the Yak-9T. I don't think Russia's fridge launcher needs much of an introduction outside of saying that while it is a great aircraft in IL-2 Great Battles, it's also not the plane that players of War Thunder come to know and dread. It is a good machine, it's not a ridiculous machine. Regardless, this particular engagement isn't so much about the aircraft or really about the engagement in general, it's about how this one ended. Once again, I find myself patrolling the lines in between the Allied and the Axis forces, this time as one of the Allies. And from altitude, we've picked up and spotted a Bf-110 that's actually returning from doing attacks on one of our runways. A little bit too hot in the dive, as you can see, almost a complete blackout. I had nearly a full pullover trying to pull the guns onto target then at speed. Big mistake, I should have actually shot through, corkscrewed around and dropped back in, but that's fine. Take the speed into the vertical, long loop over, reacquire the target as it's attempting to break over the trees, and dive back down in pursuit, this time at a much better angle for a shot. Now, if you look out past the 110, as I turn onto its tail, you'll notice a couple of other dots floating around. I didn't notice these until I was heading in for this shot. Another engagement is starting a little bit further up the coast, and I don't want any part of that as I've already blown the energy going after this 110. So Quick pass with the guns, not quite enough lead, again using the energy, taking into the vertical, rolling over to pick up a better angle on the target and diving back in. The reason why I keep pulling into the vertical like this is the 110 does have a lot of guns and a lot of ammo. I want to be able to control where it is in relation to me at all times. And then the 37mm hits home, and I have never seen a BF-110 disassemble like that. That 37 hit hard enough, I think it broke the physics engine for just a moment. Now, I'm informed by somebody who knows the damage models in IL-2 better than I do that what happened then was likely the detonation of the 37mm coupled with the random chance for a fuel tank detonation simultaneously. So overall a clean intercept with an explosive finish. And speaking of the BF-110, this time it's our turn to be on the receiving end of a little bit of pain. So at this point we're actually running a strike mission. We're taking out an artillery position and an anti-aircraft position behind enemy lines. I'm carrying a 1,000 kilo and a 250 kilo bomb. We've just released the 1,000 kilo. Now this sort of configuration when I'm flying Germany is generally for fast attack. I'm trying to get in, take down as much of this position as I possibly can, and then get the hell out of here. And you can see this is fairly heavily defended by small arms fire. What we just took out was actually a bunch of small machine gun nests along with the Flak 88 that was operating in the area. So we've taken out the big gun and some of the small ones. The rest of the anti-aircraft guns are nested across the artillery positions, which are through the branches of the woods. Now my second drop here wasn't particularly good. I was actually aiming for the cluster of sandbags that you can see just in the tree line. That's actually where the second set of anti-aircraft guns are on this side, along with some of the artillery positions, but we missed just enough that they actually survived. Now this isn't great because the entire time I'm flying around this position, we're going to be taking anti-aircraft fire. Small caliber anti-aircraft fire, but still a constant stream of lead coming up in our general direction. Not too much of an issue, of course. The whole reason for taking something like the BF-110 on missions like this is the massive amount of forward firepower. It's really good at ripping these machine gun nests to pieces, and the aircraft itself is extremely durable, providing you're not getting hit by 37mm, of course. It will take a hell of a beating from small caliber anti-aircraft fire and allow you to get the job done, which is all good. However, generally when I take out an aircraft like this for this kind of a mission, I'm trying to get in, do as much damage as I can quickly, and get out without being intercepted. I may have messed up the second part here, as that is a P-47, and you can see all the anti-aircraft fire that I'm taking here. That's going to keep happening the whole way through this engagement. So I'm trying to get shots ahead of the P-47 at the moment, see whether or not I can take him out. He's a smart pilot, he's keeping the speed on, he's not going to get involved in a turn fight with the BF-110. Dropping the nose down, trying to avoid some of the anti-aircraft fire. And that's when I pick up another plane. We now have a P-38 Lightning joining the fight as well. Now, while the P-47 pilot wanted no part of a turning engagement, the P-38 pilot is far more interested in getting into a bit of a scuffle. And you can see the amount of firepower the 110 can put out impacting the ground right there. Now, we've already managed to clip his right engine, so he is bleeding coolant. He is not feeling particularly well. I'm trying to pull lead on him and rudder over, and we managed to sink some shots home. He loses control. Still not entirely sure what I hit there, but that's a kill. So the P-38 is now out. Unfortunately, the P-47 has already come back around to have another crack, and manages to get a really nice burst onto the tail. Now, from the outside there, that doesn't look too horrendous, but you'll notice that the aircraft gets really wobbly now. I've actually lost quite a lot of control in the elevators. The elevators are still working, but the plane is not being as responsive as it could be. The whole thing is just sort of wobbling around, like it's pivoting at the moment. Now, there's no way known I'm going to be able to catch a P-47, but if I can put enough shots in its direction, I might get a lucky shot, or I might manage to drive it off enough so that I could escape. And that was when I heard the tail gun fire and realised that I actually had a Spitfire on my ass. Now, that burst from the tail gunner was actually a really good burst. It turns out that that actually did hit the pilot in the other aircraft. It didn't kill him, but it did make him reconsider getting close to the back end of this thing and start looking for a way home. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only other aircraft to show up in the area. I deliberately picked this artillery nest because it was off the side of the map and far away from the places where I thought any actual engagements would take place, and instead I've ran directly in a patrol of 5 players on the Allied team. One of them we've managed to take out with the P-38. Unfortunately, at this point, The plane's sort of damaged. I'm losing power in the left engine at the moment. I think that was actually due to the anti-aircraft fire. It's wobbling and unstable due to the damage it's already taken. And I'm having to maneuver constantly, and that is a completely different Spitfire than the one we actually shot before. So that is the Spitfire that's joined in the fight now. We've also just taken another hit to the left-hand side of the aircraft. We've just lost lift in the left wing. You can see a couple of holes there. I'm starting to make some really rapid head-turning movements here as I'm trying to track multiple aircraft around me simultaneously. Unfortunately, I didn't see this one coming, and I take a big hit, lose the elevator, the left-hand engine is now on fire, and everything has gone out. You can see them just swooping past. This is actually really amazing to crash like this in VR, I might add. But anyways, the moral of this particular engagement is sometimes there's just nothing you can do except make them work for it for as long as you possibly can. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.